Court is calling 2024 CR 012200 State versus Raymond Lee Mckinney. Can I have parties announced for the record? State.
Andrew Harrison.
Defense.
Robert Mauer for defendant. Trey Mauer as well, Judge.
All right. And are you Mr. McKinney?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
All right. So the first thing, counsel, you received all discovery?
Yes.
All right. And state if you'll make sure that the court has an acknowledgement of discovery.
Yes.
And the court will find that the state is in compliance with discovery. And my understanding there are motions from either side.
I've got motion, Judge. I'm not sure about Mr. Edelman, but I had motion that I filed previously on each one of the cases. So I'd like to address them on this case. The first one I have is a motion to dismiss for denial of the right to speedy trial.
All right, let's take that up first. All right, state.
I'll repeat my own yesterday. The 8-month triggering time limit within the years, and even if it were, the appropriate remedy would be to get Mr. McKinney to trial rather than to dismiss it.
That motion will be denied.
Yes, the other one is, I filed a motion to quash the indictment. And the basis for that is the indictment is unconstitutional in light of the defendant's Second Amendment rights. And I'd ask the court to quash the indictment in light of that violation.
All right, state.
A couple of appellate courts throughout the state have dealt similarly with this issue, and they have found that the case to which Mr. Mauer cites ruin is inapplicable in this circumstance because ruin refers specifically and directly to law-abiding weapons. And that was upheld in Rahimi, which ultimately followed, and the courts in the Court of Appeals for El Paso and Fort Worth in Swindleby State and Ex parte Huel similarly found that because ruin and Rahimi control and are limited to law-abiding citizens, that the restrictions on felons possessing firearms is still constitutional offense to charge.
Motion will be denied.
And then the other one I have is my motion to suppress, but it's my understanding we'll run that with trial.
Yes.
And while we're on the record, may I announce for my co-counsel who is
Yes.
not here, co-counsel is Megan Galloway, state of Texas.
What jurors are missing?
There's just one. One of them, one's missing, I'm not sure.
You have here, number 5 and number 16.
One of them came up, I'm not sure which one. So,
Judge, would you be kind enough to wait to start jury selection until Galloway arrives?
Yeah.
Blind.
You should dock them a minute.
And do you have the sites that you just went over?
it's the camera.
I do.
Okay.
Jury number 5 is missing.
What is the one?
Is it UEL?
Well, ruin is BRUEN.
Yeah, so I have a lot.
Oh, you did? Okay. Okay.
And Robert, we need this extra table?
Probably.
Come on over, ma'am. First row. Always me, the seats are numbered. Thank you. Five just got here.
Seen you on YouTube.
Oh, no, ma'am, no, that's another person.
No, that's good.
Have a seat in your number. The second row at the end. Yes. Number 5 just got here, Your Honor. 15th on the bench. Meeting number. Next round.
Front row seat.
Front row seat, sir. Thank you. Please row. Give me your number.
All right, everyone, please be seated. All right, good afternoon, everyone. All right, your reaction time is very slow, non-existent. So we're going to pretend like I never said anything. Good afternoon, everyone. Hi. All right, so you are here in the 187th District Court. You are on the 4th floor and I am Judge Boyd. So what floor are we on? And what's the court number? And who's the judge? All right, now I know what you're probably saying. We've been standing outside. We know where we are. But I always have to ask that question. And the reason why I ask that question is because sometimes we may end up taking breaks. And whenever we take a break, everyone has to leave the courtroom. And it never fails that when everyone leaves the courtroom, somebody goes missing and they will say, I looked up, everyone was gone. I didn't know where I needed to be. So there is only one 187 District Court in all of Texas. So if you are lost and you just say 187th, people will know. And there is only one Judge Boyd in this courthouse. So if you just say Judge Boyd, people will know where to direct you. So to my left is the court reporter. She takes down everything that everyone says. So the level that I'm speaking, the pace that I'm speaking, please do that. That will make her job easier. Please let it just be one person speaking at a time. Does everyone understand? All right. So I want you all to raise something that is in your possession. They are very expensive. They are cards with numbers on them. I see some people may have sat on them. They didn't realize how expensive they were. All right. So if everyone will please raise your card. Do not lower your card until I tell you to lower your card. Jurors 1 through 21, lower your card. Everyone else that has a card remaining, I'm going to give you an instruction. We're usually in this court in jury trial every week. So far, not a single jury has been able to follow this instruction. And I'm going to tell you what I told them. I have faith in this jury. I look at you and I say, they are going to follow this instruction. Here's the instruction. If you still have your card up, what that means is that whenever you are answering a question, please stand if you're able to stand. Will you all be able to do that?
Yes.
All right, I have faith that you can do that. You can lower your card. Now I'm going to have the parties introduce themselves. For the state,
Andrew Harris Edelman, my co-counsel who's not yet present is Megan Galloway.
defense,
Robert Maurer. Ray Maurer, Mckinney.
all right. So you have all had a chance to see those parties. As state says, Ms. Galloway will be down here shortly. But for the persons who are present and the names that have been introduced to you, if you know any of those parties or recognize any of those parties, please raise your card. Hello. And does anyone recognize Ms. Galloway? If you can introduce yourself to the jurors, please.
Megan Galloway for the state. Apologies for being.
Does anyone recognize her? Okay. Now, the charge in this case is unlawful possession of a firearm by a felon. I'm going to talk to you about that in a little bit. But for now, what I want you to know is when I speak to you, when the state or the defense speaks to you, they're going to be talking to you in hypotheticals. They are not allowed to tell you what they think the facts are in this case. The only way you will know what people think the facts are in this case is if you are on the jury. Does everyone understand? So do not be a Mrs. Kravitz from Bewitched trying to decipher what the facts are in this case, because neither side is allowed to tell you. So they're just going to speak to you in hypotheticals. Now, how does a case come to felony court, a felony criminal court? It's here by way of indictment. What is an indictment? An indictment is a piece of paper that tells somebody what they're being accused of and where they need to be for trial. Does everyone understand? It is not evidence of guilt. It is not evidence of anything. It is just for the person accused so they'll know what they're being charged with. For example, we're going to practice raising our cards. How many people here have ever had a traffic ticket? And again, San Antonio continues to be a place where we have horrible drivers, but that's okay. So I've had a traffic ticket before once in my life. I think I was about 18 or 19, so that's been a year ago. Now, when I received that ticket, it was during the time frame where the officers would tear off a sheet of paper and they had a carbon copy, so they kept one and you got the copy. Now I think they do something electronically. Let's say an officer pulls you over and they give you a ticket and they say somebody's in the hallway doing something. Let's say they give you a traffic ticket and the traffic ticket, they say that you ran a stop sign. You get that traffic ticket. When you accept that traffic ticket, you're not saying, you're right, I ran this stop sign. The only thing you're acknowledging is that an officer is giving you a ticket and they're telling you they believe you ran a stop sign. And on that ticket, it'll tell you where you need to go to answer for that. And usually in Bexar County, it's the municipal court on Frio. You are not allowed to consider the fact that Mr. Mckinney has been indicted for any reason whatsoever. It's not evidence of anything. It is just for him to know what he's been accused of. Does everyone understand?
Yes.
Is there anyone here who's going to hold it against Mr. McKinney because he's been indicted in this case? Next, I want to talk to you about the right to remain silent. Everybody has a right to remain silent. What does that mean? You don't have to testify if you don't want to testify. I've been a defense attorney. I've been a prosecutor. Sometimes I would have clients, I would tell them, you don't need to testify. State didn't prove their case. What possibly you could say? There's nothing for you to say. They didn't prove their case. Other times I would have clients, they would be so terrified to testify because if you can imagine, you're sitting on the stand, everybody's looking at you. There are other clients I had who had different speech impediments and they just didn't feel comfortable. But everyone has a right to remain silent and you cannot hold it against them. Now, what I can tell you is sometimes people in the public will say, well, if that were me and it were my case, I would get on the witness stand. That's easy to say because that's not you and it's not your case. And you don't have an attorney who's maybe giving you advice. So the question is this. If Mr. McKinney decides not to testify, you can't hold it against him. You can't, if you're on the jury, be in the back deliberating and say, well, he should have testified, so that's a point against him. You're not allowed to consider it whatsoever. Does everyone understand?
Yes.
Is there anyone who's going to hold it against Mr. McKinney if he decides not to testify? Right. The next thing I want to talk to you is presumption of innocence. Everybody is presumed to be innocent of whatever they're accused of, unless and until the state proves its case, each and every element beyond a reasonable doubt. So the state would have to present evidence and you would have to believe that beyond reasonable doubt. Does everyone understand? So right now, what evidence has the state presented to you in this case? So if you had to vote right now on whether Mr. McKinney is guilty or not guilty, what should your vote be? All right, the people in the back are, I want everybody to be awake. So I'm going to ask that question again. If you had to vote right now on whether Mr. McKinney is guilty or not guilty, what should your vote be right now? All right. So is there anyone here who is not able to presume Mr. McKinney innocent? All right. Now, the burden of proof. Let's talk about burden of proof. What is it? I told you it's proof beyond a reasonable doubt. When I was in law school, there was a definition. You had to know it forward and backwards. I knew it forwards and backwards. I had my first trial. I knew where the commas were, so I could pause. I knew where the exclamation points were, and I knew where to pause and let silence sit there for dramatic effect. Like now. Now what I can tell you is there is no legal definition for proof beyond a reasonable doubt. So neither attorney can tell you what it is because we don't have a definition. So I would always tell jurors what it was not to make sure that they're always at the correct level when they are deliberating. Next door, the courthouse with the green rooftop, that's where they try civil cases, your family law cases, your car accident cases. Over there, they have two burdens. One is preponderance of the evidence. What is that? That's more likely than not something happened. If ever you're on a criminal jury, whether it's in misdemeanor court or felony court, and you're deliberating, and you or one of the jurors says, you know what, I think this happened more likely than not, you are not at the correct burden for a criminal case. Does everyone understand? So there should not be any, I think more likely than not, somebody committed an offense. It's supposed to be proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Does everyone understand?
Yes.
The other burden they have over there is what's called clear and convincing evidence. Clear and convincing evidence is what is used to determine that you should not be a parent to your child, that you harmed your child, you're a danger to your child. I think everybody would agree that that's a high burden for someone to take your children away and say, you're not a good parent, we can't trust you with your child. That is their highest burden. There's a burden that's higher than that burden, and that burden is proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Does everyone understand? And proof beyond a reasonable doubt is not proof beyond all possible doubt. It's not a shadow of doubt like you hear in Perry Mason and other cases. Well, I'll take that back. They never said that in Perry Mason, but there are some other shows where they did say a shadow of a doubt. That is not the burden. The burden is proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Does everyone understand?
Yes.
Right. Now, the next thing I want to talk to you is about fairness. What is fairness? What does it mean? What is a bias? What does it mean? State and defense want a fair trial. And when I say the words defense, I include Mr. Mckinney in that. Everybody wants a fair trial. So this charge, unlawful possession of a firearm by a felon. Sometimes there are different offenses where people say, oh, you know, this is really not the case for me. For example, you came down to do your civic duty. And let's say the night before you planned, you asked people, you even did a dry run to see how long it would take you to get to the courthouse and where you needed to be. And you're excited to go. You go downstairs and you find that your vehicle is on concrete blocks. Somebody has burglarized your vehicle. Even took an empty cup, a styrofoam cup that was in your vehicle just because. But you say to yourself, you know what? This is not going to stop me. I'm going to take the Via bus or Uber or Lyft. And you come down to the courthouse and you're standing in the hallway. They bring you in for jury selection. And you discover that the case that they're bringing you in for is someone's been charged with burglary of a vehicle. Now, people will always ask you, can you be fair? That's really not the question. The question is, if you're on a jury in that situation for a burglary of a vehicle, and there's someone charged with burglary of a vehicle, are you going to say, you know what? My vehicle was burglarized this morning. I don't know if this is the person who burglarized my vehicle, but I'm ticked. So I'm just going to find them guilty anyway. So what fairness is you are able to listen to the evidence that's presented to you. And if you can make a decision on whether someone's guilty or not guilty, you make that decision based upon the evidence that you hear. Does everyone understand?
Yes.
I always tell people what my grandmother would say. This is what she would always say. Nobody was born yesterday and slept all last night. Everybody has something that has happened in their life that has negatively impacted them. Now, it would be great if we had jurors who were born yesterday, slept all last night, and just came here and had no opinions about anything. They're just a clean slate, but that's not how life is. So in this case, is there anyone here who would not be able to be fair? And by be fair, I mean, listen to whatever evidence that is presented to you and make a decision, if you can, on whether Mr. Mckinney is guilty or not guilty based upon the evidence you hear and nothing else. Is there anyone here who is not able to do that? All right, so the next thing I want to talk to you about is election of punishment. There are two phases to every criminal jury trial in Texas. First phase, people like to call it the innocence phase, but it's not. The first phase is really, did the state prove its case or did they not? If the state didn't prove their case, then that means it's not guilty and there is no phase two. If they did prove their case, that means you're finding the person guilty and you go to phase two. And phase two is what is called the punishment phase. The law requires that anyone who is going to trial in a criminal case, they make an election as to if they were found guilty who they want to give them their punishment. I don't know what we did before cell phones. I remember we used to go to the phone booth, but cell phones were, when you didn't have cell phones, it was great, because nobody could reach you. But then you're searching for a phone booth, and then you're searching for your 25 cents. So that's okay. It happens. So phase 2 is what will be called the punishment phase. And that is where you decide a person punishment. Now, as I said before, the law requires that the person make an election on whether they want to go to the court for punishment or the jury for punishment if they were to be found guilty. The fact that they're electing does not mean that they're saying they're guilty. It's just what the law requires. Does everyone understand? In this case, Mr. Mckinney has decided if he were found guilty, he would want the jury to give punishment. Is there anyone who's going to hold it against Mr. Mckinney because he's legally decided that if he were found guilty, he would want the jury to determine his punishment? Anyone? And is there anyone here for religious reasons? And if you say for religious reasons, you're not able to determine punishment or determine whether somebody's guilty or not, we're going to ask you to quote some Bible verses. So, but don't be, no, I kid. If there's a religious reason why you can't sit in judgment or cannot decide punishment, please raise your card. All right. That's number 13. All right. And what Bible verse? No, never mind. No. All right. So you can't decide punishment? Okay. Anyone else? All right. Now, the next thing I want to talk to you is about range of punishments. In Texas, there are wide ranges of punishments for felony cases. In this case, the range of punishment may be 2 to 10 years. So what does that mean? That means that if you were to find someone guilty in a case such as this, you could possibly sentence them to 2 years, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, all the way up 10. And sometimes the range of punishment may be anywhere from 2 to 20 years. So what does that mean? You can sentence somebody anywhere from 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to 20 years. Does everyone understand? And when people ask whether or not you can consider the full range of punishment, they're not asking whether you can give somebody 2 years or give somebody 3 years or 10 or 20 years. What it means when they say consider the full range of punishment, it's in your mind, you know what the range of punishment is. And if you were to find somebody guilty, you would look at whatever evidence is presented to you and try to the best of your ability to decide what would be the appropriate punishment. Does everyone understand? For example, if you have someone who is charged with robbery, and let's say that person sees somebody walking down the street and they push that person down, grab their purse, and take off running. And you're in trial in that case. And you find the person guilty. And then they bring in their elementary school teacher and says, I always knew he was going to do that. He was horrible in class. He would take the children's lunch money. And then, the mom comes in and testifies, yep, I knew my son or my daughter was going to do this because they would steal money from me. And then the next door neighbor said, yeah, I saw that person steal my mail out of my box. And on the way out, they kicked the dog. Now, that may be a person where if you find them guilty, you may say, hey, that person maybe should get 20 years or maybe they should get 10 years. Now, here's another hypothetical. Let's say somebody runs past someone, they push them down, and they grab a loaf of bread. Sort of like Les Miserables. They grab the loaf of bread, and they take that bread back, and it's a teenager, and they're taking it back because their brother or sister is 6 years old. they're hungry, they haven't eaten, they've been begging on the corner to try to get food, their parents left, never came back. And a teacher comes and they testify on their behalf and they said, you know what? That person was a great student. That person could have been a doctor, but the parents were just never there for them. And that may be a person where you say, you know what? 2 years. Does everyone understand? So when we talk about considering the range of punishment, it's mentally, can you acknowledge that the range of punishment may be 2 to 10 or 2 to 20? And that you can see different scenarios where you may be able to sentence somebody 2 years or all the way up to 10 or all the way up to 20. Does everyone understand? Is there anyone here who cannot do that? Consider the full range of punishment. All right, the next thing I want to talk to you about is languages. I love languages. When I was an undergrad in grad school and even in law school, a lot of my classmates spoke more than one language. The students who were from the Middle East spoke about 8 different languages. My other friends, they could speak 2 or 3 languages. I never knew I would be in San Antonio. I'm originally from Louisiana. So when I was in junior high, I know people call it middle school now, and we had to choose languages. I already knew my life's path. I knew I was going to be retired at 22, and I knew I was going to be living in France. My best friend said, Stephanie, you should take Spanish with me. And I said, never going to be using it. I am going to be in France and we're in Louisiana. What are we doing? Learning Spanish. Lo and behold, I am here and I'm trying to learn Spanish. So I say that to say, please raise your card if English is not your first language. All right. Oh, usually it's more than that. Keep them raised so I can see your card. 20, 29, 38, and 53. I will tell you the only thing my friends taught me or I was able to retain is I can say hurry up in every language, which can't say that to my friends' parents. All right, number 20. What's your first language?
Spanish.
All right, have you been able to understand everything? Thank you. Number 29, please don't disappoint me. I have faith that you all will stand. See? Help him out, guys. Help him out. What's your first language?
Spanish.
Have you been able to understand everything?
Yes.
Thank you. Number 38.
Vietnam.
Have you been able to understand everything? Is that a no? All right. Thank you. Number 53. First, have you been able to understand everything? All right. Thank you. All right, now the next thing I want to talk to you all about is time constraints, travel arrangements. I expect that this trial will probably be completed by Friday. So is there anyone here that has any type of time constraint or travel arrangements that may preclude you from being here through Friday? If you do, raise your card. All right. Number 4. Oh, just remain seated. I'm going to call. Just hold your card up. And you need to turn your card around. Yeah. All right. Number 4. What is your travel or time constraint?
I have children who have games and practices at 5.
All right. And what time do you need to be out of here?
By 5. Well, actually, by 4 with traffic.
All right. And what practices do they have?
Dance and
Dance,
volleyball.
dance and volleyball. All right. Thank you. Please keep your card raised up. Number 5.
My wife's disabled and I'm the only one working. I take care of, after I get out of work, I gotta clean up and do all these things. Just wondering.
All right. Thank you. Number 7.
I work at Sea Island, and especially with the time for religion for lunch Friday, I'm working like all day.
Okay. I went there for their lobster sandwich. It was good the first time. Then the next time it sort of
I've never tried it, so.
Okay, you're not gonna vouch for it. All right. Number 13?
I am like service coordinator for IDE services and got annual tomorrow.
Okay, all right, thank you. Everything is gonna go fine with that.
Ma'am?
I said everything will go fine with your annual. All right, number 17?
College to work full time. And I also take care of my disabled mother every single day.
All right, and so what college do you attend?
I go to San Antonio College.
And is it in person?
Yes.
All
and
right.
it's just, like practically.
See, here's the thing. Don't ever say, oh, it's just part-time because you're doing great things, all right? All right, thank you. Number 24,
Tomorrow for eye surgery.
eye surgery. All right, thank you. Everything is gonna go fine with that. 25,
I don't want a vehicle and I also work and I go to school.
all right, what school?
I go to Milan for cosmetology. I'm an esthetician.
All right, and is that in person?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Number 27,
I just got this job and I have work the rest of the week and also don't own a vehicle and I gotta help out with those.
all right, and where do you work? I mean, what do you do?
I just got the job as smoothie king.
All right, no, that's great. It's work, you know? All right, thank you. All right, number 31,
I actually have a closing on one of my house tomorrow, and then on Friday, leaving at 7 in the morning at Abilene for my son, his senior year. He's the #1 powerlifter in the state of Texas. So.
all right, well, congratulations. And see, everybody's saying congratulations as though he's helping him power lift. I'm sure he drove him to different events, but he's not going to be lifting the weights, everyone. All right, number 41,
Yes, ma'am. My husband has a procedure scheduled tomorrow at 5 a.m. and I'll be his driver. And then I'll probably take care of him another day.
all right, thank you. Number 43. 43,
I work in a subacute rehab hospital. I'm a respiratory therapist. We are a party of one. I cover Monday through Friday. And I have another person who covers the evening. So
Oh.
it's just us two.
all right, thank you. And everyone, remember to keep your voice up. Number 46,
Going to UTSA for college every day this week.
all right, and is that in person?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Number 47,
Yes, I have children to pick up. They start getting out of school at 3 o'clock.
thank you. Number 52,
Yes, ma'am. I have to drive to the great state of Louisiana tomorrow to attend.
oh, see, are you just saying that because, I mean, it is the great state of Louisiana, though. It's sportsman's paradise.
And that's you, but we got to stay university. Greatest. Oh,
So what are you doing in Louisiana?
I have to go attend to
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. All right. And when is that, sir?
her funeral is Friday. I have to drive tomorrow to get on time.
All right, thank you. Number 53,
I have an appointment with my daughter tomorrow.
I'm sorry.
I have an appointment tomorrow with my daughter.
All right.
Appointment.
I'm sorry, doctor's appointment?
Yes,
And what time?
9 o'clock.
All right, thank you. Number 55,
My daughters get out of school at 3 o'clock and they have tutoring after school at 4 o'clock.
all right, thank
And I
you.
pay for it in advance, so.
All right, thank you. Number 60,
I work full time and I take care of my 90-year-old mother.
oh, 90, that is awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Number 65, I'm sorry, you're whispering.
I have work all the rest.
All right, thank you. Number 66, Oh, so you can have a seat. Thank you. Let me just explain something to everyone here. Your employer cannot fire you for being on jury duty. It's not allowed. It's illegal. The district clerk knows that. All right. But thank you. And this is what I always tell everyone. Of course, both the state and the defense are taking down notes for everything that everyone has said. But this is always what I tell people about employment. When people say, I'm the only person can do this, nobody else can do that. So when you say that, this is what that means. That means if anything were to happen to you, if you were to retire, there'd be nobody to do that job. That job would just go out into the universe, and whomever you're working for or working with, they'd be out of luck. All right. So I'm going to tell you all two stories. Both of these stories are true. My family grew up in a small town called Grand Cane, Louisiana. And I always tell this story to people because I tell people jury duty is an inconvenience. It is not a sacrifice. And I always see people, 4th of July, everybody got to get their flags out. Memorial Day, everybody's getting their flags out. Troops, everybody's like, we support our troops. We love our troops. And then when the government asks something for you, people will have excuses why they can't do it. Your government only asks two things of you: pay your taxes and jury duty. That's it. They don't have the draft anymore. So these are the only two things you have to do. Raise your card if you have sat through a full jury trial. Now, that is even a smaller group than before. That is not even a tenth of a tenth of a tenth. So that means that your government is not even asking you to participate in jury duty every month or every 2 months or every 3 months. It's usually once in a blue moon. So in Grand Cane, Louisiana, my uncle was super intelligent. And that was when all the teachers knew all their students because the classes were small. They would tell my grandmother, we're going to move him to the next grade. We've taught him all we can teach him. So, of course, his sisters and his brother didn't like that when they came behind him because the teachers were saying, we're expecting a lot from you because of your brother. So he ends up graduating. He graduates early. When he graduates, the Vietnam War breaks out. And he tells my grandmother, I need you to sign for me because of civil rights and everything that's going on. There's no way for me to improve my lot here. And so my grandmother had to sign for him. And that was a sacrifice because that's her firstborn. And I know young people don't realize it, but this whole thing where you have information 24/7 and cell phones where you're taking picture of food, they didn't have that during my grandmother's time. Yes, she had a television set, 3 stations, ABC, NBC, CBS, and you could not count on NBC because the weather had to be just right. Otherwise, you're going to get some lines in your TV. You're not going to show anything. This whole thing about 24/7, there was no 24/7 television. What would end up happening is your TV would cut off at a specific time. You know it's off because guess what? They're going to play the national anthem. The flag is going to blow in the wind, and there's no more TV for you till the next day. And then my grandmother had a phone. I know young people, you're thinking what is a touch tone? What is a rotary? My grandmother didn't have a rotary or a touch tone. She had the phone, you pick it up, the operator answer, and you tell them what you want down. That's why they would have those songs, Beechwood 45789, because that's who you're dialing. So when she sent and allowed my uncle to go off to Vietnam, there was no computers. There's no, let me send an email to see how he's doing. Let me pick up the phone to call him to see how he's doing. You would have to write a letter, which I know young people, you don't do letters anymore. And she would put his name on there. She would put his number on there, and she put Vietnam and send it off and wait for a letter to come back. And 3 months later, a letter would come back. My grandmother only had a 6th grade education, but she was extremely intelligent. She babysat me. When she babysat me, 1st grade, I knew how to read, I knew how to write, knew how to tell time, knew all of that. So she was very intelligent. And one thing she figured out when my uncle went off is that you do not want somebody dressed in a military uniform coming to knock on your door. So the deputy always said, Judge, you tell that story, but you don't tell them what happened. You leave everybody hanging. So my uncle did make it back from Vietnam. He's since passed, and my grandmother has since passed. But I tell that story to let people know when you're thinking that this is a sacrifice, it's not. It's just an inconvenience, and this is all your government is asking of you. State and the defense are going to get a small window of time to get to know you to see if you will be appropriate for this trial. They're not going to get a chance to take you out to dinner, to take you to Sea Island to see how you feel about things. So make sure that you listen to them and speak up. Because the second story I'm going to tell you is about a friend of mine from law school. She decided to do civil. I always wanted to do criminal. We didn't get a chance to spend much time with each other once we started practicing in our fields because everybody's super busy. No shade or disrespect to civil attorneys, but usually they're not in court every day. On the criminal side, attorneys are usually in court every day or in a trial or something's going on every day. So she told me, let's do lunch. I have jury selection. I'm like, great. We do lunch. I ask her, how is jury selection going? And she tells me it's going fabulous. Now that I'm a judge, I'm like, how could it have been fabulous? You were not with me. But hey, that shouldn't be a heavy chuckle. But she said, oh, I'm not going to get selected. I'm like, why do you think that? She's like, because it's like when we're in law school, I'm at the back, I'm keeping my head down, I'm not saying anything. I start laughing. She wants to know what's so funny. I said, I'm happy because we're going to have lunch all week. The quickest way to be on a jury, other than raising a sign saying, please, I would love to serve and be on this jury, is to be absolutely quiet. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the state. Each side will have 15 minutes to speak to you.
Judge, would you let me know when I have 2 minutes?
Yes.
Thanks, Judge. Raise your card if you own a firearm. 1, 3, 5, 8 through 10, 12. You can put them down now. 15, 18 through 20, 22 and 23, 29, 31 and 32, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 41, 45, 48, yours is upside down, 50 through 53, 55, 57, 59, 61, 64, 66, 68, and 69. How many of you have seen E.T.? Raise your card if you've seen E.T. E.T. the extraterrestrial, the movie. 58. You haven't 58. You haven't seen E.T.? It's a sad, strange life. Okay, put your cards down. So I ask because I'm going to use it as an example to illustrate an idea. The offense, felon in possession of a firearm, can be committed with one of two mental states, intent or knowledge. Now, we define intent as a person acts intentionally or with intent with respect to the nature of his conduct when it is his conscious objective or desire to engage in the conduct. 7, what does that mean? Right, it's a bunch of gobbledygook. So, E.T. What does E.T. want to do? Right. How do you know he wants to go home number 10? He says he does. Because he says he does. E.T. phone home. Now, what else does E.T. do that lets you know he wants to go home? Your number? 57. He builds a phone so that he can call his friends to come back and get him. Now, number 38. Never mind. 39. Stand up. You've seen ET, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you need to be able to read ET's mind to know that he wants to go home?
Right.
Why not?
Because he points to the sky.
Because he points to the sky, because he says, you can sit down. Because he says, ET, phone home, because he builds a radio. That is intent. And you know what his intent is because of his words, because of his actions. Now, let me use a different example. Raise your cards if you've seen Jurassic Park. And I don't know if you can tell, but I'm a Spielberg fan. Okay, you can put them all down. Now, who among you believes that you remember the film pretty well? Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
Okay, 13, I'm gonna pick on you. 13. You remember the character Dennis Nedry?
Yes.
Okay. What does Nedry do in the film?
Steals the, that's the one that steals the
DNA.
DNA.
Yeah, he
One of those
steals the
cells.
DNA. And now I'm gonna pick on you too. How does Nedry steal the DNA? What's he gotta do?
He puts it in he smuggles it off the island in like a shaving cream.
Right. But in order to do that, what does he have to do?
He has to shut down, he's like the administrator for the computer system and he shuts that down.
Exactly. Now, if he shuts down the island's computer system, is it likely that he knows that will shut down the security,
Yes.
which will allow the dinosaurs to escape? Now, who else has seen Jurassic Park? Someone I haven't picked on. 56, stand up. Does Nedry want the dinosaurs to escape? But is it reasonably likely to follow that if he shuts down the security system, the dinosaurs will escape? And should Nedry know this? You had your hand up? Stand up, ask a question. I'm gonna leave that to the judge. Judge?
All right, so is there anyone who else needs a break? All right, so sir, can I have parties approach? Sir, you may, what is your number? All right, number 66. If you'll go down the hallway, wherever you see stairways, that's where the restrooms are located. Thank you. All right, State, you may continue.
So, does everybody understand the concepts of intent and knowledge using the examples that I provide? Is there anybody who feels like they don't? Remember, if you don't speak, could get chosen for this jury. So the next element is a firearm. What is a firearm? Number 32.
Yes,
What is a firearm?
firearms, a device that you could use for target shooting or self-defense.
A device. Could you use a catapult for target shooting?
No, they could not,
Why not?
because it doesn't fire a projectile using gunpowder.
So it's not just a device. You can have a seat. So it's not just a device that you can use for target shooting. It is a device that fires a projectile using an explosion. Does everybody understand that idea? Does everybody believe that they would be able to know what a firearm is if they saw it? Now, the next concept is possession. What's your number? 17, stand up. What's in your purse?
What's in my purse?
What's in your purse?
Lip gloss?
That's the only thing that's in your purse?
Uh,
Wait a minute, lip gloss and chapstick?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Have a seat.
Okay. There is. Yes.
I only use chapstick. 12. Stand up. Got anything in your pockets?
Keys?
Keys. Your keys?
My keys,
How do you know they're your keys?
because they unlock items that are of my property.
Okay, have a seat. How about 24? I don't think I picked on you yet. Stand up. You have a purse? What's in your purse? Anything else? I don't wear lipstick either. Don't sit down just yet. Is there anything in your purse that's not yours? Okay, have a seat. So. 59, stand up. In order to possess something, do you need to own it? Why not?
I'm sorry, could you speak up? The court
Just has to
recording.
be on you.
Now, can you have something on you that you don't possess? For instance, you didn't know it was there. Possible. But if you have something on you, is it likely that you don't possess it?
Sir, can you speak louder?
All right, have a seat. And everybody, remember, the court reporter needs to hear you, so try and speak up as much as you can. Try and be like Al Pacino from Heat or The Devil's Advocate. And if you haven't,
There was no water outside.
oh, that's fine. I'll stop picking on you though. But remember, speak up. I want Pacino, mid-90s energy, okay? So in order to possess something, you only need to exercise care, custody, or control of it. Now, how do we know when someone exercises care, custody, or control? Let's see, someone I haven't picked on yet, 41. This is how we know you're paying attention. If I call your number and you don't react, how do you know when someone exercises care, custody, or control over something? They keep it close. Since you're nearby, 42.
Yes.
Give me some examples of how you know someone possesses something.
Well, it's in their purse, like their keys, their personal information. You
Pretty-
see them.
Pretty good. Have a seat. Number 50. Same question. How do you know that someone exercises care, custody, or control over something?
They're protecting it, they're taking care of it, they're.
Pretty good. Have a seat. Is there anybody who disagrees with the examples that some of the panel members have brought up? Remember, you disagree, but you don't speak. Might get on this jury. So, some of you own firearms. If you own a firearm, could you raise your? Okay, number 1, why do you own a firearm?
Self-protection.
Okay, number 5, what about you? How about you, 32?
What was the question again?
Why do you own a firearm?
I use it for, sportsman shooting and self-defense of my home and property.
Okay, 35.
My husband bought it. I've never used it. I ain't just been using, holding it.
Okay, you can put your cards down but 35, please keep standing.
Right.
So your husband bought it for you, he gave it to you, right?
He said it's for self-protection.
But he gave it to you, right?
Yes, sir.
So it's yours.
I hope so.
Fair enough. Okay, have a seat. Now, is there anyone who believes that everyone should be able to own a firearm regardless of whether they've been convicted of a felony? Raise your cards if you believe that. Okay. 9, 5, 9, 12, and 13. And when I call your number, you can put it down. 39, 42, 53, no, 52, my apologies. 57, 59, 62, and 7. Now, what number we use? 70. Why do you believe that?
Because even if they can do that can still be.
Fair enough. Number 66. No, oh, 62. Just stand up. Why do you believe that a person should be able to own a firearm even if they're a felon? Fair enough. Now, have a seat.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Everyone, please keep your voice up so the court reporter can hear.
Now, under this law, a person can possess a firearm if 5 years have elapsed from their conviction, their release from confinement, or supervision, or parole. And so for that person, they can possess a firearm as long as it is in their residence. Now, for the people who answered my last question, does that change how you feel? That a person can still own a firearm, but they can only do so in the residence where they live?
Yes, we approach.
Yes.
So, yes, sir.
I have kind of a question for you, right? You're a young man or a young woman who's sitting there trying to change their life and everything. So yeah, you get incarcerated, get out of incarceration and everything. And then unfortunately, you have to go back to the same environment that you once was in and everything and stuff like that, right? So everybody around you that was while you've been incarcerated, seeing that you changing your life and stuff like that, you done done everything in your surrounding area to change your life and all that other stuff. But unfortunately, you have to go back to the same environment that you left from when you went to jail and everything and stuff like that. Now, even though I have changed my life and everything, I did everything I supposed to. Things that I may have done before I went to jail, a lot of people still see me as that same person and stuff like that. So I'll go here and I go there. And I have people that trying to take my life for the things I once did and all that other stuff. So that being said, using the scenarios and stuff that you sit up there, you saying if this individual, if even though I changed my life and everything, then people are trying to take my life and everything, the only way I can defend myself from these situations is if I have a firearm to protect myself during those situations and stuff. Not saying that, hey, I am actively going out there trying to be thug, gangster, criminal, or anything of that.
Okay, 52, I apologize for interrupting you. I've only got about a minute and a half left. But who agrees with 52's sentiment? Raise your card.
All right. But keep your cards raised. This is what I will tell each of you. You, if you're selected on this jury, you will receive the law from the court. Does everyone understand? All right. So one of the laws is that you're allowed to have a weapon at your home. Does everyone understand that?
Yes.
In some cases, you are not allowed to travel with a weapon. Does everyone understand that? So knowing those things, is there anyone who will not be able to follow the law? Because everyone has feelings about certain things. For example, some people may think that marijuana, having it, possessing it, being in custody control with it should not be. You can say, you know what? I don't agree with that law. I don't think people should be charged with possession of marijuana. So let's say you have a possession of marijuana case and they're not using it for medical purpose. They don't have a prescription or anything. It's possession of a marijuana case. And you say, in your mind, you say, you know what? This isn't right. We shouldn't be charging people with possession of marijuana. There should not be a trial about it. Nobody should be charged. But then you have a law in Texas that says that possession of marijuana is illegal. Does everyone follow my hypothetical so far?
Yes.
So if you were on a jury trial and the state were to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that somebody possessed marijuana, and you're on the jury trial and you're one of those people who believes that shouldn't even have charges for people possessing marijuana. The question is whether or not, even though that's your personal belief, will you be able to follow the law if the state were to prove that somebody was possessing marijuana? Does everyone understand?
Yes.
So everyone may have a different feeling about gun possession and who can possess it and who should not be allowed to possess it, or whether someone's rights to possess a gun should be taken away or not. It's okay to have those opinions. But the question is, if the law tells you that a specific person with a specific type of history is not allowed to carry a weapon, whether mentally you think or not, that's wrong. The question is whether or not you will be able to follow the law. Does everyone understand?
Yes.
Is there anyone here who cannot follow the law in this case? All right, so that is, what's your juror number, sir?
5.
Number 5.
Well, there's a lot of criminals out there, like,
No, here's the thing.
away with everything.
All right, so counsel, I'm just asking if you can follow the law or not. You said you cannot, so that's number 5. Is there anyone else who will not be able to follow the law in this case? All right, that's 43. Anyone else? All right, state you may, number 59. All right, state you may continue. You have 2 minutes.
That's kind of stole my thunder there. So my last question is, who cannot believe a police officer merely because they are a police officer? Raise their hands. Or raise your cards. 55, okay. Rick, keep them raised. 5, 55, 61, 69. Now you can put them down. And what I mean is, who believes that a police officer is inherently less credible because you distrust law enforcement? If anyone else has that feeling or that position, raise your cards. 65 and 65. Can you stand up? Can you briefly explain why?
Family members in law enforcement.
Fair enough. Have a seat. Is there anybody who agrees or feels the same way as 65?
Excuse me, you had a number over there. To your left.
14? And can you explain why?
Something similar.
All right. Is there anybody else who agrees with 65 and 14 but hasn't raised their card yet? Please do it now. All right. How much time I got?
26 seconds.
Galloway and I were in a trial a couple of weeks ago. A guy got chosen for the jury and he was visibly annoyed. You know what he did not do? He didn't say anything during jury selection. That guy actually ended up falling asleep a couple of times during the trial. It was not a good look. So defense is going to come up. If you have anything to say, now's the time to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
I proceed.
Yes.
Like Mr. Edelman said, we need to hear from you because the people who don't say anything are the ones that are going to end up here. Some people want jury duty, some don't. But what we want is to hear from you to determine whether or not you're the right kind of people to be on this case. So I want to kind of approach something Andrew talked about differently because he talked about people who are inherently suspicious of cops, right? I've been practicing for 31 years. In the beginning, it was always, people always believe police officers just, it was like automatic, right? But with what we've seen on TV and things like that, I think people have become a little bit more jaded and realistic about things. Who here has a friend or a family member who's a police officer? Okay. Number 20. What family member is it? Friend or family?
I'm a cousin and my cousin's husband here
Okay.
in San Antonio.
What agency are they with?
One's with San Antonio Police Department, the other one's with Northside Independent School District.
Okay, let's talk about the one with SAPD. You know what kind of work he does? Is he patrolman or what?
He's a detective sergeant right now, so he gets sent to different departments.
We all close?
Homicide and.
We all close as kids?
He's not a blood relative, he's the husband of my
Okay.
cousin.
Okay, what about the north side one? Is he,
He's a patrolman,
okay, is he blood relative?
yes.
Okay. What was he like as a kid?
Active in sports and through school. and-
Ever get in trouble?
No,
You ever lie?
who knows?
Okay. But he was just your cousin, right?
Yes,
So would you agree that people in law enforcement are just like pretty much everyone else? They can be truthful, they can lie,
correct.
right?
They're humans.
Yeah.
People,
Okay,
people make mistakes,
yeah, thank you.
say something that they're not supposed to or hide.
So I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. So my question is there anybody who would listen to the testimony of a police officer and say, you know what? I mean, he's a cop, so I'm gonna believe him, right? And it's not a wrong answer. There are some people who inherently believe that people in law enforcement are somehow more trustworthy and more worthy of credibility. Number 36. Would you stand up?
No, I have a nephew who is the chief of police for the attorney general.
Okay.
Believe everything he tells me.
What was he like as a kid?
Good kid.
Okay, did you ever get in trouble? Did you ever lie?
Not that I know of. He was a very good kid, still a great kid.
So. So you don't think your nephew ever, how old is he now?
50?
Okay. You don't think he ever lied in his life?
Oh, I'm not gonna
Okay.
say never in his life.
Okay, well, that's the point I'm getting to. So the question is, if you hear a police officer testify, are you gonna automatically believe him? Okay, well, let's keep going. So say you listen to the guy and you're like, this is kind of making me, I'm not quite sure, right? Are you gonna believe, I mean, if you have questions about whether or not, you get that, what do you call it, your intuition, you're like, something's not right here? Do you ever get that feeling? Okay, so I'll ask you a question in a second, ma'am. So if an officer is testifying and you have some doubts about what he's saying, are you going to believe him anyway just because he's a cop?
I don't know, it depends on the situation, what he's saying and what the situation is.
Exactly,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So that's the entire point is if somebody's testifying, you have to treat a police officer like you do any other witness, right? Because, I mean, I think we've all seen there are situations where, there are, in any walk of life, there are people who do a good job, people who do a bad job. It's just a question of can you approach it with, I guess, a level playing field attitude that you're going to judge the evidence as you hear it and not say, yeah, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt because you're a cop. Right? I know your nephew's, I mean, I can tell you really like your nephew. But if you heard other officers testify and you had some doubts, you wouldn't find somebody guilty just because you heard somebody testify that was a police officer, would you?
No.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Ma'am, what number are you? Okay. So tell me what your thoughts are.
I will listen to the testimony to see what happens, but every person has an intuition. You have that feeling, you know
somebody's lying or when they're not, just, you have a feeling.
What do you look for to see whether or not you think somebody's lying?
Just their body language. And just, I guess, how sincere they are or how they're speaking to see if it's true or not true, just to hear what they have to say.
Okay, thank you. Who else, somebody here's a teacher? Anybody raise their card? Number 42. Stand up, please, ma'am. What do you teach?
Children with disabilities.
Okay. Is that, do you have the same experience dealing, is it emotionally disturbed or is it just physical disabilities?
Emotional and learning disabilities.
Okay.
Could be any of them.
Well, I don't know if it's the same situation. What do you look for to determine whether or not somebody's telling you the truth?
Well, just the logic of what they're saying. I try to decide if it makes sense to me. Maybe their eye contact, they're not making.
Okay,
That's about it.
all right, thank you. Anybody else have any? Yes, number 30. Stand up, please, ma'am. What do you want to get? Your floor.
No, it was the same question.
Okay. Okay, so tell me what you look for to determine whether or not somebody's lying to you.
Definitely body language. Are they looking down? Are they looking to the side? Did they, bring another student?
Okay, thank you, ma'am. So who here has heard the phrase, who watches like Law and Order or crime shows? Right? Pretty much everybody. In spite of my job, I still watch them. Sometimes you critique them because you're like, that's not real. Who here has heard the phrase, they got off on a technicality? Right? Okay, ma'am, what number are you? 60. Would you stand up and, what do you think that means?
On something different, something said different about it.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Anybody else have anything, wants to define what a technicality is?
I saw,
Stand up, sir.
I saw the show where the house was beige and they put on their paperwork that it was brown and that was considered a technicality.
Well,
I
so
don't know if that's-
let me tell you, when people say they got off on a technicality, what that usually means is somebody got off because the law wasn't followed. Okay? When they say technicality, there are certain steps that need to be taken, right? And if you don't do the steps right, it doesn't come in. That's what the Constitution is for. Okay? So there are provisions in the law that allow people on a jury to exclude and not consider evidence if they think it was obtained illegally. Okay? That makes you essentially the people who determine whether or not something is constitutional. Okay? Search and seizure. So who here thinks getting off, that phrase getting off on a technicality is a bad thing? Like you think, oh, that's not right. Yes, number 69.
I think about getting off of the technicality is tampering with evidence or something wasn't written down in the paperwork or.
Okay, so if you were on a jury, stand up, I'm gonna ask you some more questions, please. So if you were on a jury and the judge gave you the option of deciding that evidence was obtained illegally, if you thought it was, could you exclude it and not consider it?
I would take all evidence.
Okay, what if you thought it was obtained illegally?
It was obtained legally. I would listen to it.
Okay, so yes, number one.
I think illegal search and seizures should be followed to the T. The cops should already know what they need to do, and if they don't follow that, he gets off, he gets off. That's the bottom line.
So if you were on a jury, would you feel comfortable making that determination if you thought something was obtained illegally?
Yes, sir.
Who here agrees with juror number 39? Let's go the reverse. Who here doesn't agree with juror number 39 and says, listen, I'm not gonna make that decision. If we're here, I'm gonna consider everything. What number? 16? Anybody else feel the same way? Number 3.
I think it just depend on like if it was noticed, if evidence was found based on something else occurring or something. I don't believe that would be illegal if it was something like that.
Well, we can't tell you the facts ahead of time.
Yeah.
Right? The only question is, if you believe something was obtained illegally, right? When we all talk about the Constitution and search and seizure, right? You know, the police can't come search your home. This is in England. That's why we beat them in the Revolution. So the police can't enter your house without a search warrant, right? There are certain requirements they have to follow in order to search you. The question is, I'm going to go on the hypothetical that you listen to the evidence and you believe it was obtained illegally.
Mhm.
Can you exclude it and not consider it?
Yeah.
Okay. The other question I had, we talk about the justice system, right? And what its purpose is. Some people believe that the justice system is for rehabilitation, to help, people get on the straight and narrow, fix their lives, treatment, things like that. Other people are at the other end and they think, criminal justice system is about punishment. And we should punish people and lock them up for as long as we can. And so what I want to find out from you is where you fit kind of on that spectrum. Okay. So who here thinks the main purpose of the criminal justice system is rehabilitation, to try to make people better and help get them on track? Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 11, 13, 6, and 7.
2 minutes.
What'd you say, Judge?
2 minutes.
28. Do I get the extra minutes that Andrew used? 34, 39, 43, 53, 56, 60, 59, 62, 68, 67, 65, 69, and 70. So can I assume that everyone else believes that the justice system should be about punishment? Is that correct?
No.
Okay, who here thinks otherwise? Yes, ma'am, what number are you?
27. I think personally, it just depends on the crime as well, because some people can do like horrendous things and people can say they're there for rehabilitation, but in reality, they should just stay there. Well, my opinion, sorry.
Okay, who thinks it should be on a case-by-case basis? Okay?
Yeah.
Right, that's what you're saying, right?
Yes.
Just consider each of the situations. Now, final thing, who here has not spoken or answered really any questions? Who has something they want to say because they want to make sure that we know something about them? Number 6, yes, ma'am.
Kind of going back to legal search and seizures and being able to omit certain things. I feel that if the person that is being accused of something is being held to every measure of the law, so should everybody else be that had anything to do with the case.
All right.
And as for rehabilitation and punishment, I do believe that the justice system should be used for rehabilitation. Fortunately, it does fall to a case-by-case system where you have to then make sure that you have the right people, making sure that the law is being followed the way that it should be to help those people to be rehabilitated and become a part of society, rather than just trying to get them into a system because of whatever reasons whatsoever.
So in this situation, for people in a jury trial, you would be the one making the determination whether or not the law had been followed, right?
Correct, but that's where this selection process kind of it gets a little shaky, right? You guys need to make sure you select the right people that are going to actually be able to uphold the law, and we have to be honest in our answers and be able to put ourselves outside of the situation so that we can see everything as a whole rather than try to put our own emotions into it.
What she said.
Yeah.
Thanks, y'all.
All right, thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I'm going to need for you to do. I'm going to have you step outside in the hallway. You are not excused. Yes. Oh, we'll take care of it. All right, you're not excused. Please leave your cards behind and please take your personal items with you and you will be in the hallway.